Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what is happening, what we can expect moving forward, all that good stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, etc., well, I do share my thoughts with our members every single day the market is open. Definitely check it out. That link is down below. It's a YouTube membership. There's 3 tiers. $3 gives you access to the Tesla tier. $5 a month gives you access to Tesla plus NVIDIA, so technical analysis, options flow, etc. Or the third tier for $7 a month gives you access to non-Tesla, non-NVIDIA stocks, chart updates and whatnot that I find opportunities in that I share with my members. So if you're interested, link is below. Would love to have you there. But jumping into it, NVIDIA closing the day, fairly flat, all things considered, to be completely honest with you. It was definitely worse in the mornings of the day, but nonetheless, still looking pretty damn solid, slightly in the red, 1%, kind of just following the market, to be completely honest with you. But it is now setting up something that looks a little more interesting on the daily. I'm not gonna lie, the 1 hour price action is absolutely ugly. It is the 1 hour price action. I don't even want to look at it. It's so ugly. The candles, just look at these candles. How do you even look at these candles and determine anything off of it? Very, very ugly price action. I don't personally like it. It is hideous, which is why we'll be focusing more on the daily today, right? It's so ugly that looking at this honestly just makes me kind of feel sick. I just don't like the way it looks. It's very, very not sexy. But the daily is a different story. The daily is a bit of a different story. This is where we eliminate all that noise and we kind of look at just like, okay, what is actually going on, right? So let's figure that out. What is actually going on with the stock? Well, all things considered, I think the stock, I'll be honest, it's holding stronger than I expected. I actually expected NVIDIA to do more of an AMD move. You can see AMD also had massive pop, right? But you can see AMD is kind of wedging down into the exponential moving average. This is actually roughly what I expected from NVIDIA. I wanted something like this. Instead, NVIDIA is not doing like that. In fact, it's just going straight sideways. It's pretty much done nothing for a week straight. It is what it is. I guess this is the path NVIDIA chose, right? I mean, I figured it would do something similar to this, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Now, what does this actually mean moving forward? Well, the RSI is still in overbought territory, which is good, actually. And the reason I say it's good is because I actually want it to stay overbought. I don't want it to get back under the red line and close a daily candle under the red line. That to me is going to be a sign of, another sign of buyer exhaustion and the momentum sort of falling off a little bit, right? So that's number one. I do quickly want to mention on the 1 hour that there is a bearish divergence. You can see evidently shown. There's 2 actually. But nonetheless, there is bearish divergence also being set up here on the 1 hour time frame, which also shows buyer exhaustion, which could be why we're pretty much doing nothing for like almost a week straight, which is fine. But the daily is where things are interesting. The daily is interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one, because the stock went sideways for so long and essentially just decided not to go anywhere, not lower or higher. It just pretty much stayed flat within this kind of 132.5 to like 136, sort of that $4-ish range for like a week now. That means that the fact that 8th exponential moving average is pretty much, it's very, very close to the stock. It's not as ridiculously over and comically overextended as it was before, which explains why the stock has been doing nothing. Because again, either the stock comes down to it or it goes sideways and the exponential moving average in this case comes to the stock. Whichever one happens first. NVIDIA chose this path. Like I said, AMD went down to it instead. Whichever path happens, that's the path that happens. Overall, they lead to pretty much the same thing. But NVIDIA is setting up a bit of a bullish looking flag type situation here. On top of that, it's also printing an inside day candle. So this is very interesting to me because now with this bull flag and this inside day candle, also, if I go back to the 1 hour, just very quickly, again, I don't want to look at the 1 hour too much because it's so ugly. The Bollinger Bands on the 1 hour, you can see are getting very, very tight. So that to me tells me that we should be finally getting a larger move pretty soon. Could be tomorrow, but probably sometime this week. Honestly, I'd be surprised if it's not by the end of the week. To the upside or to the downside is the question. So let's talk about the levels to look out for to get a better idea as to which one it'll be, right? Because it's set an inside day candle and because it is setting up what looks to be like a bit of a bull flag that looks something like this. Let me go ahead and actually make the bull flag look a little bit cleaner, so it's not as messy looking like this, right? It looks something like this, give or take. We'll put it like that, and then we'll do this one that looks something like that, right? Something like this, give or take, right? You can see it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter, roughly, right? So the way we want to look at it is, especially with this inside day candle, if you're someone that's a little bit more jumpy, right? A break above or below today's high as early as tomorrow or just within the next day or two should signal a move in that respective direction. So what was today's high and today's low? Today's high was 134.5. Today's low was 132.5. Watch for those levels. Above 134.5, you can argue the bulls are taking control and we can break out of this bull flag, and the target to me will be high 130s, potentially even closer to 140, at which point I will expect most likely that is going to be all she wrote, and we most likely will begin a correction from there, because again, you can't just go like, you can't just do this for forever, right? Obviously at some point you have to do like a steeper correction. That's just how things work. Same way that happened essentially, back over here, right? Same thing that happened over here, same thing happened over here. Like, you can't just only go up, right? You will just either do a steeper correction, whether it's to the downside or a very long sideways correction, at least one of the two. So that's that. But to the downside, if we lose today's low, which like I said, today's low is sitting around 132.5 roughly, that to me tells me that we most likely begin a correction to the downside, in my opinion, closer to 130 or like slash high 120s, pretty much, in my opinion, right into this trend line and the 21 exponential moving average, if it happens, let's say by the end of the week or something like that. Which again, if that happens sometime by the end of the week, Thursday, Friday, 127, 128, something like that, right, is roughly where this trend line and close to the 21 EMA will be sitting, which you can see this trend line has been supporting NVIDIA on these, very aggressive uptrend, all things considered. So that's something else I've been looking forward to, right? So that's going to be the way to look at NVIDIA moving forward, at least in my opinion. The other option, if you want to be a little bit safer, is waiting for a break above or below Monday's high or Monday's low. Very similar on the low end of the spectrum, also pretty much 132, but the high is actually sitting closer to 136 as opposed to today's candle, which is about 134.5. So a bit of a $1.50 higher, but could be a little bit safer if you're someone that's more risk adverse. Depends on your risk tolerance naturally. But those are the main things I'll be looking at for NVIDIA. We should finally get a move out of here relatively soon, in my opinion. It is starting to get a little bit tight on the smaller time frames, like the 1 hour I just showed you. There is a lot of compression building up, so we should get a pretty aggressive move either closer to 140, probably pretty quickly as well when it does actually happen, or to the downside again closer to about 128-ish, give or take, pretty quickly as well. If I had to choose, it's hard to say because we have the 1 hour bearish divergence. I'd probably choose up, and the only reason I would choose up is because AMD is actually telling me it wants to move up. It's already up 0.8% after hours, but AMD, and this is like a bonus thing, this is what I shared with the members towards the end of the day, is in this massive falling wedge, and it's actually looking like it wants to pop, especially with this 0.8 after hours movement. So if AMD pops, I would assume NVIDIA roughly follows, right? You would naturally expect that, but not always, obviously. Like AMD, for instance, had a much different move to the downside here compared to NVIDIA, which just went sideways. So it's not always one-on-one, of course. It's not always apples to apples. It's kind of like apples to oranges, I guess you can say, where it's kind of similar, but not always. But again, that's just me guessing, and there's no reason to guess. At this point, we have key levels, we have the exact markers, we have the exact levels to look for. Let the levels decide for us. Let this inside day candle play out, and it'll tell us everything we need to know. So that's just the way I'll be looking at it moving forward, to not overcomplicate things too much. Taking a look at options flow on NVIDIA, pretty muted, honestly. I think Tesla stole most of the spotlight. 1.9 million call came in for June 18th this morning, but for the most part, other than that, honestly, surprisingly, kind of muted for NVIDIA. Not really that much going on right now in the options flow for NVIDIA. Nothing that I see here, at least. So, take that for what it's worth as well. But yeah, in my opinion, I'd be waiting for this little, tightness to really fully play out, especially with this inside day candle. I think we should be getting a very large move. Could be as early as tomorrow, but I'd be surprised if it takes longer than the end of this week. So let's watch for that, and let's see what happens with that. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.